something that annoys me is Raising Cane's.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Daddy.
Oh.
Mom!
Do you want to see me go off? Get on your knees now. Close your eyes. Obey me. What's your safe word? Mine's coupon. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm gonna teach you. I want to hear you scream for the manager. Get ready for an experience. You want a discount? I don't think so. Deeper, 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 harder, deeper. Beg for it. You don't like this? Write a letter to corporate.
Today's guest comes from us, West Philadelphia, born and raised. It's 2026 International Mr. Leather, Honey Davenport.
Hey!
I'm so happy you're here.
I have wanted to be on Very Delta for a very long time.
Well, you know what's interesting is like, I want to say it's like serendipitous that it happened for us at this time, but I don't know that it's as serendipitous as it is like the universe planned for this to happen. I've always been fascinated by the leather community as a kid. I remember the first bar I ever saw and knew was in my neighborhood. I saw leather men going in there and I thought they were like just bikers because that's all I knew.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew something fun was going on in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so for this set to be here, for you to claim this win and for you to be in town ready to do this, it was the universe lined this up.
It's so right.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of things leading up to winning International Mr. Leather have felt kismet, like have felt like, oh, the universe put me here for this reason, like to do this. This is my place. You know, the whole time, the whole preparation, down to every judge that was announced. I was like, oh, this is the panel of judges you would put here if you wanted me to be International Mr. Leather. And they were figured out before I won my preliminary.
Wow.
Like, you know, like everything just felt like it was all happening on purpose. And this was my turn.
Now, when you do a prelim versus the international pageant, where do the two separate things take place and what's expected?
Okay, so what's really cool is that the leather community all over the world has feeder competitions that lead up to International Mr. Leather. I won Mr. Palm Springs Leather, and which has feeder competitions that lead up to even that. And when you get into Europe, there's Mr. Dublin and Mr. France, which also lead into Mr. Europe, which lead into International Mr. Leather. And they're all unique and different. And so my time as Mr. Palm Springs Leather, I got to actually travel around SoCal and judge other leather competitions and see the vast variety and how different communities celebrate leather in their competitions and pick their representatives. So they're also different, but they lead up to this gold standard. This is actual literal gold, not chocolate.
Wow.
Of competing for International Mr. Leather, which is the largest leather title in the world.
And where does that take place?
That takes place in Chicago. And it's so crazy that it takes place in Chicago at the same exact location as Miss Continental.
Wow.
And I competed for Miss Continental twice. And that stage is terrifying. Both times I walked on it previously, I felt the exact opposite of what I felt in this lead up to International Mr. Leather. I felt like I'm putting on something. And I remember when I walked out for my, like, we have our tagline, and it was kind of even described to me as, like, think of your Drag Race entrance. And I was like, I literally have a Drag Race entrance line. I should probably say the same thing. And I walked out and I said those words. And when I said them when I walked on to Drag Race, they felt like a tagline. And when I said that when I walked out at IML, they felt like me. I felt like I was really describing myself. Like not putting on a persona. And I have a friend in New Jersey named Boy Kona or Mimi Sashimi. And she said these words in her interview. And she said, you know, drag is what I do, but leather is who I am. And when I walked onto that IML stage, that was the reality I felt as well.
Wow.
I don't know. That just got deep.
No, well, it is. It's important to you. And I feel like, I think for those of us that have been on Drag Race, we had lives before Drag Race, and we have so much respect for the platform of Drag Race. We get to see a lot of places and visit people and meet people. And then we have things that we do afterwards. But we also have other passions as well. How long has leather been a passion for you? Is it something that you learned about as you were older, something you knew about younger?
So I've always been a kinkster.
Okay.
I've always been a go-go dancer. I've always been fascinated with porn. Actually, one of my first calls with my agent after I got on Drag Race with my first agent, he's like, "What do you want to do with this?" And I was like, "Oh, porn." And he's like, "Bad idea. Don't do it. Don't do it." But well, my first studio porn just dropped yesterday with Treasure Island Media. So I've always been a kinkster, and I've always been involved in the leather and fetish scene. But I didn't necessarily identify as a leather person. But my mentor, who I call my leather father, Will Weaver, he made a point to not just go to leather bars where people were expected to show up in gear, but he specifically wanted to go to drag shows and to trans events and show us that we were safe. And he would do this by coming up to us when we would get sweaty, we were doing a drag show, and he would give us lavender handkerchiefs. And we were like, at some point, we were like, how many endless supplies of these lavender handkerchiefs does this person have? Also, why are you giving us lavender handkerchiefs? Well, lavender is the hanky code for drag. And he was trying to show us that we were safe and we had other spaces that we belonged in as well. And one day he had on his mirror cap and I said, "Hey, can I try that on?" And I saw myself in it. And literally, it's probably the same feeling of seeing yourself in drag the first time.
Wow.
I was like, oh, that's me. Oh, this looks great on me. I like this feeling,
Yeah.
And I had so many questions. And that was 2019. And I wanted to know everything about leather and everything about the leather community. And I was so ready to jump in. And I just was moving to LA and wanted to get involved. And then the world shut down. So I moved out to Palm Springs. And in Palm Springs, we have a leather club called Palm Springs Leather Order of the Desert. I was fascinated by these people who would gather every month to have meetings and figure out for absolutely free, for absolutely nothing of personal benefit, how they could work to make our community better.
Wow.
And how they could put on events and promote education and brotherhood and sisterhood, and philanthropy for just cause. That's the work that they wanted to do with their life. That was the legacy they wanted to leave on. And I thought, again, just like I put on my mirror cap on Fire Island for the first time, I thought, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. So, yeah.
I mean, I think that's such an important message because queer people have to rely on queer people.
Yep.
And I think we often see these sort of division lines where people say that's that group of people, that's this group of people. But, a wise woman, T.S. Madison said,
that's a very wise woman,
said, when all is said and done, they're going to call us all faggots. We're all faggots to them. And so we have to take care of each other.
Yeah.
Instead of saying I'm not part of the leather group, but the leather group's trying to support you, trying to support education, trying to safety, a network. The same way, queer cheerleaders or these organizations. It's more than just. It could be based in one thing, but the idea is philanthropy as well. With this win, how have you been supported or not supported by your drag fans, people that maybe were introduced to you on Drag Race? Have they followed through with this? Is this something that they're interested in?
I have experienced mostly love from both the drag and leather community. And I've had some very few, very loud voices of criticism from both sides as well. Yeah.
From just because they feel like you've been abandoning them, or?
It started when I grew out my beard. Like, I definitely had friends and sisters invalidate my new drag expression. And for me, drag has never been about emulating a woman. In fact, most of my drag, even on Drag Race, was about a bumblebee. Like, so it was never, for me, drag is when you use your body as the canvas and gender and the factors that exist around gender are eliminated. Like, that's drag to me. So for me, drag was never about that. But when I grew out my beard and my facial hair and started to hit the gym, I definitely saw a lack of, I saw less gigs. I saw less appreciation for the kind of art that I was presenting. And, it also, with a switch like that, it takes time to develop yourself, too. So I definitely felt like my start to where I am now, I mean, I'm better at doing what I do now than I was when I started growing out my facial hair 2 years ago, But mostly I've seen support, to the naysayers on both sides who've had negative things to say about me, being a drag queen and a leather person. They spoke out pretty loudly, especially after my win. And that wasn't just met with like people combating. The best thing that came from my win is when people spoke out against me, people celebrated themselves as a response. So lots of people spoke out and said, or a few, actually, really, there's way more that spoke out in support. A few people spoke out and said, this is wrong. There shouldn't be a drag queen who's a leather man or a drag queen who's international Mr. Leather, or said the most hateful thing, which is this would be better if they use their birth name, which I don't go by. Just because you can Google it doesn't mean that it's something that represents me. But to combat that, people on the internet posted pictures of themselves in leather and in drag, and that went wild. Lots of people found in the space where I was being criticized a moment to celebrate the fact that we all have dualities. We all contain multitudes.
Yeah, that's very true.
I thought that was really fucking cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. I love that. Let's take a break. You're exhausted, but you're starving. There's something healthy in your fridge or pantry that you should be making, but you just don't have it in you. For me, eating healthy isn't a willpower problem, it's a setup problem, until I found Factor. Factor helps me with my setup problem by delivering fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs right to my door that go directly into my refrigerator. With Factor, I'm hitting my nutrition goals this season without the grocery runs, planning, or cooking. I love that Factor meals only take a few minutes to heat up in the microwave and they're ready to go. You know I'm a woman who loves convenience, and Factor has me covered. Factor meals are fresh, never frozen, and they have over 100 rotating weekly meals. Their menu includes globally inspired flavors like Mediterranean and Asian, so there's always something new to look forward to every week. My current favorite meal is Alabama-style white barbecue chicken with sweet potatoes, zucchini, and rice pudding. It's hitting perfect for a summer dinner inside the air conditioning, because I never eat outside. Anyway, let me tell you, the Alabama-style white barbecue chicken is very Delta. I love Factor, and I know you will too. Head to factormeals.com/verydelta50off and use code verydelta50off to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with new subscription only while supplies last, September 27th, 2026. See website for more details. We are back with Honey Davenport, and we're talking about everything that fascinates me about the leather community, kink. I feel so comfortable talking to you about this stuff because I know there's people out there that when they hear the word kink, fetish, leather, any of those things, they get sort of this tickle about them because they're uncomfortable. I don't think there's anything to be uncomfortable about. I think talking about these things especially anything related to sex, is so healthy.
Yeah.
It's so necessary.
It's the healthiest thing to do is to have these conversations beforehand. And people have always been kinky. This is not new. Right? Like, this is not a new thing. It's not a weird thing. Our parents were kinky. Our grandparents, our forefathers were kinky. Like that. This has existed in our world always.
Right.
And it's not something that we're even in control of. It's something that if you allow yourself to open your mind to the possibility of what could bring you pleasure, you could explore and discover so many other things. And don't we all deserve that joy?
Yes. And also, it provides this safe place where people don't have to go learn about things and be afraid or be nervous or be embarrassed about something that really is not embarrassing. I wanted to ask you something because I know you mentioned that you were originally a kinkster. You'll always be. And then you started with leather, and then you got some of those lavender hankies. I've always been fascinated by the hanky code because I think it's kind of like the original way of communicating, right? In our community. And whether or not you were in these bars and using it, it was always a lore. Like, what does that mean? I remember when I was a kid, there was always this rumor about which ear you had pierced meant you were gay or not gay. I don't know which one it was after all.
I got both of them done when I was like, one of those means gay, so I'll take both.
Because you're kinky as fuck.
Yeah.
But they're not here now, but for some of the episodes, I made myself a bouquet of flowers out of hankies. And because I wasn't wearing them, I had one bouquet on my right, which indicated what I would have on my right, and one on my left to have, obviously, where I was top or where I was bottom, I suppose. I did have a beige on my left because who doesn't want to eat ass?
Okay.
I mean, who does not want to eat ass?
Yeah.
Can you think of any off the top of your head that you might wear? Or can I give you a color and you tell me if it works for you?
Yeah, I could think of some I wouldn't wear, and maybe we could do some colors.
Okay.
So I always say, since growing out my beard and gaining about 25 pounds of muscle, my lavender hanky switched sides. Like, I used to love having sex in drag. It was my thing. And now I'm a big clown fucker. I love fucking drag queens. So that switched sides. That, I think, is really a cool thing about my life.
Yeah.
I am almost flagging rainbow. So, like, orange, open to most things.
Right.
What?
Let me give you some.
Yeah.
How about black S&M, heavy S&M top on the left, or worn on the right, heavy S&M bottom?
So I have only ever bottomed and heavy S&M play to learn how to do it better as a top.
That's what I always hear from people. That really is the way to know.
That's really the way to know. And you will know if you like this or not. If it's something that you're interested in, I would recommend doing it that way. I was at IML and my leather father was like, "Are you going to really tell people this?" Because I was like standing next to him and I was talking to someone and I was like, "Yeah, I could do that to your butt, just like he could." Literally, he taught me everything I know by doing it to mine. And he was like, "Are you going to say that in front of people?" And I was like, yeah, so they know that I was told by this guy. like that's kind of a badge of honor.
Sure.
So yeah, playing and exploring, especially if you want to do something as a top or a dom, it's not necessary to explore it as a sub. But I think that it's important. You know, I was learning how to use Dragon Tail for the first time earlier this year from one of my femdom mentors named Master Plain Jane, and she then used it on me, which was so different of an experience than me like practicing on my pillows or a person, because that's typically how I practice. And I was like, oh my God, this is like not for me, but like thoroughly love doing it to others. Yeah.
That's so interesting. Here's a question that I think you're probably the only person I could ask this question of, because you're around this culture and we're friends.
Mm-hmm.
I've had so many people in my life say, well, are you, especially in drag, are you like a dom? Like, can you boss me around? Can you do that? And I think to myself, like, oh, I could definitely do that role play. I don't know how to professionally do it or properly do it. But my own question is, when does it turn on and off? Because if you're having this role play with somebody, are you always in that mindset with them? Even if you're like out and about at lunch and you run into them. I don't know how that works, because I'm legitimately asking, because I do want to know.
One of my favorite things about the kink community is how we negotiate dynamics.
Okay.
And it's something that I felt was missing from the film Pillion. That I was like, why is this not there? This has been like my favorite thing about this community. In a way that other queer or straight people don't negotiate dynamics. When we are figuring that out with somebody, it is a detailed conversation. Sometimes one of my partners presented me with like a diagram,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying, of how this kind of play would work for them, be safe for them, what they're expecting of me, when they're expecting of me, before they give me that kind of power over them. Because I think one thing to realize in Dom sub community is that while the dominant does have the power in that exchange, it was given to them.
Right.
It was given to them. So like the
Right.
whole time, literally the sub orchestrated this, or it's abuse, so the negotiations really, really help. You discuss when and where this kind of play, this kind of dynamic should exist and be comfortable for each other. It's really like the most mature onboarding of a relationship that I know. And we have a plethora of relationships that aren't always romantic, that aren't always sexual, but I think the leather community does a really great job. The kink community in general does a really great job of establishing dynamics with conversations beforehand. And like, I really wish that was something that was in the movie Pillion.
Yeah, I mean, because I think, we're in a very interesting time where people are sort of exploring and can publicly utilize pronouns and explain exactly who they are publicly to people. But I do feel like the idea of sexual relationships and then power play, romantic relationships, they don't always overlap. I mean, sometimes I feel like people are could be in a role play or a sexual relationship with someone and not be in an actual romantic lifelong relationship with them. Is that true?
That's very true. That's very true.
Right.
And they waver. Sometimes they are romantic and sexual. Sometimes they are romantic and kinky. Sometimes they're kinky and not romantic, or yeah.
I think it's very interesting because, oh my God, people people are pulled in so many directions politically, and the social idea of who you should be and how you should be and what you should be, work, making money, making a name for themselves. Sometimes they need this release in order for things to make sense. Sometimes the people that seem the most in power and in control and all of these things are the people who maybe need to be the opposite somewhere else in order to find the release that they need.
Right. And I'm a switch. I'm not very much bottom when it comes to impact play. But I'm a switch with just about everything else. And like, it's so funny when you said at the end, T.S. Madison said at the end of the day, we're all faggots. And like, I love being called a faggot. Like, there was one time on Grindr that a guy was like, "Get over here, faggot." And I was like, on my way. Like right now, but that's because I have spent so much of my life working against that, so much of my life working to make that part of me small, that somebody calling me that or celebrating it, it feels like it's like almost a turn on,
Yeah.
I feel so seen. Yeah.
you know, on this show, we were talking about earlier, talking about frying fish. But I want to use this opportunity to ask you if there's any small fish that you would like to fry. If there's anything going on in the world, it could just be a small thing in your life that is just irritating the shit out of you.
I think we were talking about it a little earlier. People are put into a box. And I think that people have expected me to be in a box. And so the small thing in the world that irritates me is that people think that you have to be one thing. Right. That you have to like one kind of play, or because you did one gig that is now definitive of who you are. And there's so much life out there. So what annoys the fuck out of me is that with all of this oppression that we're seeing, that we haven't realized that the way out of it is joy and exploration and acceptance. Like people not accepting others for their exploration of joy is fucking irritating.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
I guess that's a big thing, not a small fish to fry. And you know what else is speaking of fried, something that annoys me is Raising Cane's.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, Daddy. Please speak on Cane's.
I don't understand the fascination with Raising Cane's. Like the chicken just tastes like fried. It doesn't taste like it's all if you put it in the dipping sauce, but like, what happened to seasoning? What happened to seasoning? And why do we even need a multitude of chicken franchises when Popeyes exists? Just put Popeyes on every street corner like you do Starbucks and get rid of all of the rest. Like, what is people's fascination with Raising Cane's? Explain it to me.
Sir, I wish I understood. I really wish I understood. I feel like it's for people who they just have no expectation of anything. They don't think they deserve. They don't have a want.
Yeah.
They have no need. I have to gather my thoughts because I thought this should be a monologue. Cane's bothers me so much because I get the idea of people. There's people in this world that they go to any restaurant and they want to eat chicken fingers. I ate there for the very first time by default because I was traveling with some people and that was the only thing in the area. And I didn't like it, but I said, you know what? I'll give it another chance. And maybe it was that place. First and foremost for me is always the fact that everything is wilted because it's in the styrofoam.
That part.
No crunch, nothing. And then when you do taste it, you're like, is this even cooked? Because I don't even know if there's a flavor to this. There is no flavor.
Literally.
The French fries and the chicken taste the same. And the sauce is Thousand Island dressing. Let's be honest. I'm not knocking your sauce, but it is in fact Thousand Island dressing.
Right. And you know, I don't feel like you see a lot of people of color supporting Raising Cane's. You see the people who destroyed the world for spices eating food without them at Raising Cane's.
Yes, I've never heard of it that way. That is so true.
Yeah.
No, that is absolutely true. Ew, Raising Cane's. You're right. That's important.
Yeah.
We have to dismantle what Raising Cane's is doing to the country.
Yeah.
I know with this reign, you are dismantling many things, including sort of these division lines. Talk about that a little bit.
You know, obviously, as a person of color in America, I've experienced racism, everything from micro to blatant aggression throughout my life. And I have reacted in the past in ways that I didn't feel like moved the needle for experiences of people like me. And so where I'm at in my life now is I don't tolerate it, but I do stand against it. And in my community, I experienced some really awful microaggressions a few months ago. and an attempt to silence me. I wasn't being heard, and I spoke out about it. And then not only did I speak out about it, but I've actually been working with the City of Palm Springs and the Human Rights Commission to create education and resources for people experiencing racism or discrimination in our city. And we're building a model that could be used internationally, because the way you combat and dismantle discrimination is education. And so instead of shooting aggression back at oppression, as I've done in the past, I've chose to fight it by empowering people with knowledge.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's the only way we get anything done.
Right.
Like fighting and screaming and often even protesting doesn't get anything done. But you know what changes things? Teaching people.
You're right.
Yep.
And we see this. I mean, we see this as far as you as a public persona. You've experienced this from drag fandom, this prejudice from drag fandom. And we know, listen, it's no secret that the drag fandom, and I'm not talking about people who just watch regular drag shows week to week at the bar. I'm talking about people who actively support the machine of televised drag. They have no problem showing their extreme prejudice, if not racism, towards all of the Black entertainers from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
I mean, it's blatant.
The day that our reveal came out, I had over 30 messages in my DMs calling me the N-word. Like, just because I was announced on a television show.
Yeah.
And flash forward, I experienced very racist comments to me winning International Mr. Leather.
Right.
Like, it happens, and especially happens on the internet where people feel like they can hide behind a keyboard. I even had people in Palm Springs try to say, when I stood up to combat this issue, say racism doesn't exist. Call me a liar, insult my gender expression, and come for me in all kinds of ways. And I just printed out everything they said and put it in city record. So the next time that their job is Googled or they are Googled, people can see who they are. And we have to start thinking of non-aggressive ways to fight and dismantle things like that. We cannot continue to let people get away with treating us, but we do have to teach them how to.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Can you play Fuck, Marry, Kill with me?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Okay. Fuck, Marry, Kill. These are names that someone might call you.
Okay.
Daddy, Zaddy, or Papa. Fuck, Marry, Kill.
I'm going to marry the person who calls me Papa.
Okay.
Most of my boys call me Papa. I'm going to kill Zaddy.
I know.
It's just like one of those, like, it's such a right now thing. I don't think it'll stick around. Just like, I don't know. And it's the weakest of all three. And I'm going to fuck all the daddies I can in my entire life.
I like
That's
that.
why I moved to Palm Springs. It's literally daddy land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the perfect answer, I think. Would you ever, okay, when you do one of the, would you call it a contest? Would you call it a pageant for Mr.
It's a contest.
Okay.
They were established just like drag pageants in the same time frame of drag pageants. And leather people have had a hard time calling it a pageant because there are so many similarities. But there's one thing that sticks out as a difference. And that is, in a beauty pageant or a drag pageant, you are doing this primarily for the elevation of you. You get more gigs, you get, more opportunities, more recognition. And I feel like at its core, a leather competition is not about what this could do for you, but what have you done already for the world?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have to do any sort of like presentation?
Oh, yeah.
Like set to music or something?
We had some very strange jazz music playing when I modeled my jockstrap in Palm Springs. I was like, I have never felt sexy to Kenny G. Like, that's just not my thing. You don't in International Mr. Leather. People like read a bio about you. But yeah, you do. You model your jockstrap. It's a category called Pecs and Personality.
Okay.
Where you come out and you give your tagline and then you model your physique. In other local competitions, sometimes they'll have you even model your like high cow, formal gear. And the biggest thing about the categories is different from like a drag pageant to a leather competition. As in a drag pageant, typically there's some kind of like talent presentation. And while those do exist in some leather competitions, like a talent or a fetish category where you kind of act out or show your fantasy. That big scoring category is given to your speech. And in a leather competition, you give a speech that's normally about 90 seconds. My winning speech was exactly 89. The microphone would have cut off in one more second.
Wow.
And it's your platform. You're given a microphone, and you're to go up there and describe who you are and what you would like to do for the world. That is the talent category.
Okay.
Right? That is that category
Sure.
in a leather competition. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you had to do something set to music, if somebody out there had to do this, may I suggest that someone, I'm taking from what you were saying about learning how to be a good top from the best, right? And so you bottom for them in whatever the kink or fetish is, and you do an example of that set to I Learned from the Best by Whitney Houston.
Oh, baby. That's fierce.
There's a little number, right?
That is. Don't be surprised if you see me traveling the world performing I Learned from the Best.
And you do it, and even if you're what would you call the role? Your father?
My leather father, just
your
like
leather
a drag
father.
mother.
Even if your leather father's like, I don't want to do it. You're like, you have to do it for the art.
Oh.
You're going to have to fuck the shit out of me for the art.
Oh,
sorry.
He'd do it.
Oh, he would do it anyway.
He would do it. He would do it.
Okay. I'm not mad.
But also, Will Weaver, you could fuck me for the art. Like,
right. I think so. Why not? Let me ask you this. Okay. Obviously, you've spent so much time in a world of drag. You've spent so much time in this. You've had other aspects of your life that you DJ, which is a huge part of your life.
I love DJing.
Yeah, you've done that. What if somebody came to you and they were making a movie, and they came to you specifically and they said, we want you to play this role, but the roles are, you have to be in drag fully, no beard, take it off, fully in drag for the character. Is it something you would be interested in doing?
Absolutely. The shit can grow back, but I would be requiring a big paycheck. My beard.
Hell yes.
Okay. When I grew out my beard, it wasn't because I was holding on to some part of my masculinity. I identify as non-binary. I've always shifted between both masculine and feminine.
Right.
And so for me, I was like, you know what? What if I just give myself this gift? I'm going to grow out my beard. If people fucking hate it, I can shave it off. If I get a project that says you can't do that, I can shave it off. But I'm going to try this on as just a gift from me, something I said I would do when I retired from drag. But why not do drag with it?
Right.
And it honestly opened me up because I feel like drag now has become so homogenous. Like everybody kind of has way of doing drag, and there's this makeup tutorial, and you're kind of like this queen, and you tongue pop and you snap and you do this and you fall on your back and like you're a drag queen and you jump into splits. And for me, even though there's been tons of bearded queens in the past and people that inspire me, growing out my beard and still doing drag, it was like I give myself permission to do this in my own way. Not how I was told it has to be done. Right. And that made drag more liberating, more punk again for me,
Right.
Yeah.
What about like your gear, the things that you wear, are they things that I know you had mentioned some things that have been handed down that have some history.
Yeah.
Right? Tell me a little bit about that.
So, leather lives forever. It carries tons of history. The boots that I'm wearing today were worn by Sir Mike Russell when he won International Leather Sir in 2003. And now I've put another 2 titles on them as Mr. Palm Springs Leather and International Mr. Leather. The pants that I'm wearing today are one of my mentors, Nick Zuko. He wore them when he competed for IML. And they were they were the gasp that I got from my big leather reveal because they were blue, because they weren't black. And 2012 or 2014 when he competed, this was a big deal that he had blue pants on. The hat that I'm wearing was gifted to me by one of my favorite trainers in Palm Springs, and it's from the 70s. She got it from a former partner in the 90s. So leather carries so much tradition, and as much as I love, I love getting a custom leather piece made for me and fit it right. I got a lot of ass, so like pulling it up over, you need that. Wearing leather that carries other people's history, you feel that
Right.
when you get it. It's the same way as I think there was a pageant gown that the Lady Chablis had, that Milan wore, that there's 7 other people of color who've worn it for pageants, and they carry that history. And we do that with all of our gear and leather. You pass it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank
I
you.
love that. Let's take a break. Let's take a look at some very Delta art. We are back with Honey Davenport. Now, this is the part of the show that we call Read Me Delta. People send in their letters. They find themselves in situations. They need advice. And if you would like to send in a letter, you can send it to readmedelta@gmail.com. We do our best to answer these, but sometimes, you know me, I'll start talking about one thing, and then all of a sudden I'm talking about wilted French fries. So I can't guarantee that we're going to answer these questions, but we're going to try.
I love that. I love that.
Dear Delta and discerning guests, recently I was talking with a friend about clearance sales and how it's crazy that some stores will slap 20% off on a product and call it a clearance sale. In my opinion, that's not clearance. To me, clearance means this stuff is less valuable or only marginally more valuable than the shelf space it's on. Please take it off our hands because it loses us money if it stays here. If you sell something at 20% off, you clearly don't want to get rid of it that badly. What is your opinion on stores that only give 10 to 20% off on a clearance? When does something become a clearance sale in your opinion? Very best, Eileen. What do you think? Do you ever shop a clearance sale?
I love a clearance sale. Actually, like if I walk into a store, one of the first places I go is the clearance rack. Baby.
Always.
Baby, I like discounts. Yeah, I don't think 20% is clearance either.
No.
I think clearance starts at least 50.
I agree.
Yeah, clearance starts at 50. But you know what I used to hate in New York? They used to have this place called Earrings Plaza, and everything would just have these outrageous price tags on it, but then they'd have a 50% off clearance Like, baby, you are not giving this to me on clearance. You just marked it at $30 and you're selling it to me for $15.
Yeah.
And it cost you $3.
Right.
Like, but why did this ever? They do it on Santee Alley too.
Oh, all the time you walk in, they're like, everything in the store is 50 off today. But it's always 50 off, and it's still going to be $15.
Yeah.
So why don't you just mark it at $15?
Why are you trying to piss on my leg and tell me it's raining?
They always do. And you always know that game is coming. You always know that game is coming. I feel like 10% off is an invitation into the store. So that's like saying, oh, sign up for our rewards. We'll give you 10% off today. That's fine. 20% off, I think, that's a nice sale on something that's brand new, just came into the store, and our invitation to get it out there is 20% off. I think when you get around 30, that's a really good discount. But as far as clearance goes, it has to start at 50.
It has to start at 50.
Because I don't want to see it was $19.99 and then now it's $17.19. That
literally doesn't matter. And
it
with
doesn't
taxes,
matter.
it's still going to be $19.99.
Girl, it doesn't matter what you just said. Girl, sir, ma'am, sir. It doesn't matter.
No.
I was just at, maybe this is not fair, but I was just at Dollar Tree, and I know Dollar Tree's mostly closeout things or things that are manufactured for them that are like less in price. I walked down this toy aisle and they had plush toys. Why did they have Santa's elves? It's June. It's July. There were Santa elves there at regular price, $5, which, we're at Dollar Tree, so it was the $5 spot. They were elves. They were green with the red and the bells hanging off of them. You need to mark those out.
You need to mark those out. You should have marked those out on December 26th.
Right.
Why are they here?
I don't know, but they also had Valentine's Day candy too.
Okay.
Come on now.
Discount though, or no?
No, it was regular price. Here's the thing. I feel like, especially candy and any Christmassy shit like that, you need to get to 90 off like within a few days.
Yeah.
Because it's time. It's because like right after Christmas, all those shelves end up being new year, health and Well, get rid of all that candy and shit. Don't be trying to have it for 50 off a week, 2 weeks later.
I do like going both candy shopping and even costume shopping the day after Halloween.
Oh, hell yes.
When like drag queens, save your money. Do not buy an expensive Halloween costume this year. Go out on November 1st and get the drag scraps that have been left over for 50% off. I built a career on that. I really did. Going to Halloween Adventure the next day when everything is actually 50% off because they don't want it to return to the factory. That's when you go and you get your Party City wigs and you jack them up into something fierce, or you get the last year's big costume, you cut it up into something new. That is the day. That is Drag Queen Christmas, the day after Halloween. Don't even let everybody else do Halloween.
Right.
Like we do Halloween every day as drag queens. So like after Halloween, go out and get your discounts.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I love, you can see stuff that like, maybe you didn't originally want it, but you think like, I could use that sort of like Cleopatra something or another for something. Maybe not even for necessarily the Cleopatra thing, but for something else you could use it. I love that.
Everybody needs a Cleopatra something.
You need Cleopatra something. That's going to be on a shirt.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a Cleopatra something.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that.
I like that too. What do I always get? I always get like, those like sort of metal fanned out crowns that sit on your head because I can build stuff on them. You can start using them to like add flowers, or you can do your own spider web thing. I don't know. I always look at stuff like as a base. What else could you do to it? What else could you add?
Yeah, especially when I was like starting drag, I lived in the dollar store.
Yeah.
I was like, I got $10 and I would like a new look. How many things can we put together to make something?
Sure. Dear Delta, happy Pride Month. I'm a person who does not believe in labels because I believe my sexuality is always changing and evolving through the experience. Also, they're a social construct. Let's be so for real. I love all genders and identities because I truly believe it's about the person on the inside. For many years, I've thought of myself as someone who does not want to have sex. I'm extremely proud of that. And while acceptance in the community has been hard, I don't need anyone's validation but my own. My question is this. I've had the itch recently to start using toys and exploring my rear exit. Do you have any tips for a beginner in their late 20s looking to explore that area? Love you so much. Thank you for keeping me entertained while the world crashes and burns around us. Best, very cunty, honey.
I live.
I almost felt like there was another page to this. I say it doesn't matter what your age is. If you want to explore. If you're looking, I think, for a toy and you've not used a toy before, I would personally suggest starting a little bit smaller and then building up from there. What's your experience with that?
Definitely start small and build your way up. I love toys. I have loved toys for a very long time. I've had quite a few transmasculine partners, and that's the way they've topped me. And I love the fact that they've got dicks that don't go down.
Sure.
Right. So I've always loved toys. Definitely start small and grow. And an interesting person to follow to get good tips and health tricks for your butt is Dr. Carlson, who runs a podcast called Butt Honestly. And that is a really good resource for anything you're interested in anally.
Mm-hmm. Butt Honestly is the podcast.
Yep.
Check out the podcast Butt Honestly. I'm going to check it out because I love that. I love these conversations. I think it's so important. Where do you like to buy toys?
Literally Amazon.
Wherever they show up.
Wherever they show up, you know. Yeah. And a lot of my toys have, you know, or for me and my partners, they've come with, you know, so I've got these things, you know. It was really interesting in my late 20s when I dated the first transmasculine person that I dated, when he was like, "Which dick would you like?" And I was like, "Oh, this is fucking hot." You know, sometimes you want the big one. Sometimes you're like, "Oh, babe, it's been a long day. Just give me the." Yeah.
And also, if you really are looking into this, don't skimp and don't try to save and don't try to lie to yourself about how much lube you're going to need.
You're going to need good lube.
Get you some lube and keep the toys clean. Keep the toys clean. Make sure you wash them and take care of them. I'm not saying you're disgusting. I'm just saying you want them fresh for every time you use them, especially if you're sharing them with a partner or something. You need to be very, very, and I know you're saying that you're doing this for your first time by yourself, but even at that, you want to make sure that, listen, we want you to stick around.
Yeah.
So anything could get on those things. Yeah. Even just laying around in a drawer.
You don't want to put yesterday's poop back in your butt.
Right. We want today's poop back in our butt today. Honey, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Fun. You're the best.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I actually also came with a little gift for you.
You did?
So in leather competitions or as a leather title holder, a lot of, you know, just like drag queens make merch, leather people make what we call run pins for our run for a title or run as a title. And I've now run for 2, which is Mr. Palm Springs Leather and International Miss Leather. So I've released 2 pins, and they are really much a crossover between drag and leather.
Oh my gosh.
And so I bought you 2 of my run pins.
Oh, these are gorgeous. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Run pins. I love this. This is very thoughtful. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. And until then, keep things very Delta. Very Delta is produced by Moguls of Media, a.k.a. Mom. Hosted by Delta Work. Produced and edited by Doug Robertson. Technical direction by Danielle Mitchell. With original theme music by Nikolai Galvin. Set design by Eris Sevilla. And a special thank you to Ben Orson Leather. Executive produced by Alaska, Willem, Big Dipper, Camille Stennis, and Joe Cilio. Recorded at Forever Dog Studios. Rock your body to the native beat.
Mom!
Watch Very Delta uncensored, ad-free, and a day early by subscribing to Mom Plus Gold. Sign up today at mompodcast.plus for premium content, including weekly episodes of More Very Delta.